What's going on, guys? My buddy dropped off his, I believe this is a 2010 Camaro, and gonna be doing some detailing action on this one, so I figured I'd make a video about it. And just kind of wanted to get some shots of it in the garage, because this is probably easier to show you the ridiculous amount of holograms in this car. The car's in really good shape. I get the feeling that somebody probably went crazy with it with a snow brush at some point in time. It's kind of a big problem in the Midwest anyways, or I guess any place that gets a lot of snow. People go crazy with the snow brush. So anyways, I kind of wiped the fender off, did a little test spot. I picked up some swirl remover 2.0. I don't know if I'm going to use this on the car, but what is kind of interesting is just using it by hand. Did a little spot here. Actually pulled quite a bit of the holograms out of there. So pretty much around here. Come back with the light. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, I'm going to use a DA on this thing and try to get it, as good as I can. But even if you don't have access to a DA polisher or a dual action polisher, you can get pretty good results by hand. I mean, it's a little labor intensive, but if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, you can get a pretty decent result. I mean, that's a substantial improvement for just rubbing on that spot by hand for a couple minutes. So, just kind of want to point that out. I know a lot of people, I don't know, some of them are just afraid to use power tools or whatever, but quite honestly, if you're going to use a dual action polisher, you really shouldn't be afraid of using one. It's almost impossible to screw up a paint job with that thing. It's a lot different than using a rotary buffer where you can just buzzsaw right through the paint. So anyways, I gotta move the cars around, get this thing set up, and we'll go through washing it. And I'm gonna use that Eagle 1 clay mitt on there, get the contaminants off of there, whatever is bonded on the surface. And then there's a little spot back here with some adhesive from a sticker, so I'll show you how to get that off of there. And then like I said, I'm gonna run over it, gonna do a nice little one-step polish on this thing. I'm sure it's not going to be 100%, but it's kind of the other thing with detailing that kind of cracks me up with watching some videos. I mean, in my opinion, some people just get really goofy with this stuff. I mean, obviously this car is just hologrammed. It's ridiculous. So, a point I'm trying to make, it's do you really have to get to 100%? And what's the difference between an 80% car and a 100% car? Because I guarantee you, if I drove this car past at 80% and then I drove it past at 100% correction, you would barely notice the difference driving down the street. I mean, it's going to look amazing either way. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I think some people get really ridiculous about this stuff, and it's look, dude, it's not a show car. The second I pull this thing out on the street, get done detailing it, it's going to start getting destroyed again. It's going to get rained on, dirt, rocks chucked at it, and all that. So, we're just trying to make an improvement, not going for the gold here. It's alright. Let me get situated here and we'll get cracking on this one. Alright guys, it's super windy today, and unfortunately I don't have access to harp, so I can't really do anything about it, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. I just wanted to give you a shot of this fender again. See the holograms. Which, it's so bright out here I can't even really see in the viewfinder, so hopefully you can see that spot that was rubbed up with the swirl remover 2.0. That's what we're working with, plenty of holograms. So I'm going to start by just cleaning up the wheels and tires, and then get into washing it and hit it with that clay mitt. Alright, so doing the wheels and tires, I'm going to use this Ultimate all-wheel cleaner. And then, I don't know, like usually on my cars, my wheels are usually pretty clean, so I really won't even have to use this stuff for the most part. So I'm going to initially clean them with this, and then I like to just use a wash and wax soap. And I got like a little, you know, bug sponge for wiping the wheels off, and I'll just put some rinse water in here. And then whenever you're doing this, you know, if you're in the sun, you know, I'm gonna do the shady side first, and then I'll do the sunny side, you know, last. So when this stuff's sitting here, it's not baking in the sun. I let it dwell for about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll do a little agitation on the tire and then hose it down. That's poopy. Alright, got the wheels and tires cleaned up pretty good. Actually, these wheels look like they could really use a polish job, but it's like a job in and of itself. I have to get this thing up and get those wheels off to really clean them up. So, yeah, let's move on to washing this thing. Alright, I got my 2 buckets. I'm using Gold Class. And, I mean, you could use dishwashing soap. People get upset about that when they see the video. They're like, oh my god, don't use dish soap. But it's really not a big deal because I'm gonna be waxing the car anyways, and I mean, it's not like dish soap is. I mean, it'll remove wax, but it's not like a wax and grease remover. So, you know, it's like, yeah, if you wash your car for a year using dishwashing soap, it's probably gonna be a problem. If you do it once and you're like waxing the car afterwards anyways, yeah, it's probably not a big deal, but whatever. So, I'm not using the Ultimate because it's kind of a waste. Like, I don't really need the wax, and I just want to get the car cleaned off. So, it'd kind of be a waste to use it for this. So that's why I'm going with the gold class. And the gold class is actually a little sudsier, so should work out pretty good for this. Alright, this isn't really a how-to video, but I figure I'll just throw a couple of my personal little tips in here. You know, obviously you wash from the top down, but what I actually like to do is start on the hood, because I feel like the hood's kind of like, you know, I don't know, it's like a centerpiece of the car. So I want, you know, the cleanest my wash mitt's gonna be, I'll do it on the hood, which at this point in time doesn't really matter. I'm gonna buff the car, but like if the car was buffed and actually in good shape, you know, usually I'll do the hood first and then I'll move over to doing the roof and work my way down from there. So it's just kind of how I like to do it. Alright, got it dried off. Got that Eagle 1 prep mitt. And it's got a spray bottle with Meguiar's M34 final inspection. So I did this top of this quarter panel. So just as a comparison, I'm gonna run my hand on this. You hear that? Come over here. That's all those bonded contaminants on there. So, you know, you really don't have to clay if you're gonna be polishing, but I still feel like doing the clay is a good idea because these bonded contaminants are almost like an extra layer. So if I go and just start buffing on this, I gotta cut through all that bonded contamination before I start correcting the paint. So to me, it's always a good idea to hit it with the clay mitt and, you know, or whatever clay you want to use, clay bar, or you know, Mother's has got that clay 2.0 thing. You know, it's always a good idea to get that layer off of there, so you're not trying to cut through all that stuff. So I'm gonna go over the car with the clay mitt, and then be ready to mask it off and start doing some test spots on there. Definitely see with the hood up. I mean, that's pretty destroyed with holograms. You know, it's one of those things when you look at it from a certain angle, it's really not that bad, but when the light hits it right, it looks terrible. So, you know, the other thing to keep in mind with the bonded contaminants too is like, that is affecting the reflectivity of this panel. So the analogy I always use is, imagine like if you've ever had a glass table that had a layer of dust on it. You know, when you clean that table, you're wiping that layer of dust off of there. So imagine a car with bonded contaminants is kind of like that glass table with dust on it, but when you wash it, you're not removing that layer of dust. So think of like cleaning that table and not taking that layer of dust off. It looks terrible, right? Well, it's kind of hard to notice. You know, I mean, you kind of have to have a sharp eye, but if I was to just clay this car and pull it back outside, you know, even with all the holograms, it's like the paint almost has a glow to it because it's actually reflecting a lot more light. So the first step is to get those contaminants off of there, and then we'll get into correcting all these holograms and be looking real good. So get going on that. Alright, got done using that clay mitt on there, and I think this might actually be a good example of what I was talking about. You know, I mean, look at that hood. Look at how shiny it looks. I mean, from here it looks amazing. And we come over here and see all the swirls in there. But I think that's a really good example of what clay can do for making the panel reflect light properly. So, there's some kind of like tree sap spots. There was a really small one over here. Definitely want to use a plastic razor blade. I use metal razor blades, but I've been doing that at body shops for 20 years, so I mean, I know how to do that. If you do use a metal razor blade, take the blade. Usually the blade will have writing on one side, so put the writing up, take the blade, and just run it across your pants in that direction. It'll dull out the one side of the blade so that you can come back and it won't want to dig into the panel. But like I said, if you've never really used a razor blade, make sure you use a plastic one, because if you use a metal razor blade incorrectly, you'll just cut a huge divot out of the paint. So I got the masking I think I need taken care of. Got something over the bra, keep stuff off of there. So I'm gonna do some test spots on the hood and figure out which product I'm gonna use. And I think before I do that, there was a sticker on the back here. This is a pretty common thing people have issues with. I'm gonna show you how to get this adhesive off of here. This is another good job for plastic razor blade and wax and grease remover. So we'll take care of that first. Alright, so I got a spray bottle that's filled with wax and grease remover. I'll put a link in the description. The stuff is kind of hard to find. Just kind of out shopping. So it's easier to just order it off Amazon. So just take a towel. Get the towel saturated. I mean, you could spray it on the panel, but you usually end up making kind of a mess. So just going to get some on there. You can see a few wipes and it's already pulling this stuff off of here. You know, this goes back to the different kind of contamination that will be on a car. You know, you either have water-based or something that's a solvent-based, and these stickers are solvent-based contamination. That's why water will not remove it. You just want to work it into the panel. Some adhesives are going to be a lot more stubborn than others. And if it's really bad, you can actually saturate the towel, get it on there and kind of tape it to the panel and just kind of let it sit on there and soak up that wax and grease remover. Looks like this is coming off of here fairly easily, so probably won't even have to use the plastic razor blade. But that thing works out pretty good if it's being stubborn. So there we go, got it off of there. And then, I'm buffing the car anyways, but like if you took a sticker off your car and, maybe it got a little scratched up using the razor blade, you can use some Ultimate Compound and Ultimate Polish or whatever compound and polish. Any kind of scratching would probably be pretty light, so you could probably just get away with some kind of polish. Should be able to cut whatever light marring might have happened, but that wax and grease remover is really good at getting all this sticky goop off of there. Alright, so did a few test spots here. This side is the Solo 86. Did a pretty good job. There's still, this would probably look a lot better outside than under this kind of lighting. Definitely pulled a lot of the holograms out of there. So I used a polish pad with pretty much everything. So I got the D166. Kind of the same deal. I mean, it did a good job. Still some deeper scratches in there though. I still think someone probably hit this thing with a snow brush and just really tore the paint up. But once again, even this, I mean, outside, it probably looked tremendously better than this. So then coming on this side, I use the D151. This stuff seems like it cuts harder than the 166 does, but still kind of the same deal. I mean, there's still some deeper scratches in there. But once again, massive improvement. And then I even did part of the fender down here. Grab my light. Still some deeper scratches in there, but pull the vast majority of those holograms out. So then I decided to try some Ultimate Compound up on the top here with a compound pad, and that really seemed to do the best job. So I mean, I'm trying to one-step this, but I don't think I'm really gonna get the result I'm going for doing the one-step. So I think I'm gonna do the classic Ultimate Compound and then finish it off with that D166 polishing wax, because that stuff, it does a great job as a polish, and then it's got the wax built in there, so it kind of you know, killing two birds with one stone. Although I'm pretty crazy about waxing, so I'm gonna end up putting some wax on top of that anyways. So that's the deal. Use that ultimate compound and then finish it off with the 166. Should turn out real nice. Alright, get a shot of this with some real lighting. So like I was saying, I mean, this would be a lot better looking outside, but I still think this is a two-step. It's just too hammered with deep scratches. Alright, so get cracking on this with the compound. Alright, hit that half of the hood with the compound. Quite a dramatic difference. This, I don't know, it's got one of these clear bras on there too, and this is, I don't know, I hate these things. Seems like the whole world's in love with them too, but I don't know, this thing is like more scratched than the paint is, and it's, you know, I ran the buffer over and it's just really not pulling the scratches off of it. So this stuff is a real pain when you gotta repaint the car too, getting it off of there. But anyways, try to make it as good as I can. But yeah, that's turned out pretty good. Set this with the compound. Come over here, haven't done the fender yet, so give you an idea what it's pulling out of there. Quite a tremendous difference. And that's the fender after hitting it with the compound. So just got to compound the passenger side of the vehicle and be ready to start polishing this thing. Get you a little before shot of the passenger side. Already hit it back here, so that's looking good. But this thing is definitely destroyed. Alright, here it is with the compounding done. Got a vast majority of the deeper scratches out. All the holograms are gone. Looks pretty good. And that D166 is gonna put the final touch on this. That stuff's pretty awesome. You know, there's a lot of people that would be pretty satisfied with this. Definitely a massive improvement. So, alright, I got a couple more spots to wipe off and start hitting this thing with the D166 polishing wax. Alright, I'm going to use the 105 with a little applicator pad. Get up in there. See if I can get some little scratches up. Alright, hit it with that 105. Once again, it's not perfect, but pulled a lot of those scratches out of there. Definitely looks a lot better. Got this side polished. Starting to look like a Camaro again. Alright, just wanted to get a shot. The left side is still just compounded, and then the right side's been polished. So like I said, I mean, it's not perfect, but man, this thing really has some deep scratches in it. Definitely have to wet sand a lot of this car to get 100% correction. But it kind of goes back to like how crazy you want to get with this. And then, you know, like I said earlier, I mean, it's still going to look good outside. Like a lot of the stuff that you can see with this LED floodlight, you're really not going to notice outside. And then even back here by the spoiler, there's some pretty bad scratches on the deck lid where it meets on the spoiler. I don't know if they're showing up on the camera, but I definitely got most of them out of there. I mean, I can still kind of see them, but man, that is a tremendous difference. That was really bad. Alright, I'm gonna get done. Polish this side. Still gotta do the rear bumper, but getting there. Let's get one more shot with the tape removed. Alright, getting there. Pretty much done with all the polishing. Just have to unmask it. Went around, you know, this clear paint protector is kind of a pain because it likes to catch wax or compound or whatever. So I use toothpicks to get it out of there. The hood's kind of bad for that too. And then I just use some of the M34 with a Q-tip to get around all the Camaro emblems. Kind of intricate. But you can get the, you know, just saturate the Q-tip with the M34 and just get in there and clean that stuff out. Dry it with the dry side of the Q-tip. So just unmask it and you know, just hit it with some of the spray wax. Should be good. You know, the D166 got a wax in it too, but I like to just kind of top it off with a spray wax. So getting close. Alright, she's all finished up. Use the Meguiar's Endurance tire gel on the tires. I got some of that Tonneau Tonic for the bra on the front here. Cleaned it up pretty good. Turned out really good. I mean, this car probably could have used a wet sand. That's how deep a lot of the scratches were. But all things considered, turned out pretty damn good. Alright, well, this isn't the after shot of everybody's dreams, but I guess at least we get to see some water beading.